News, 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 news. Come on, Dennis. News.
It's time for the news.
News.
It's time for the news.
We're not officially starting every podcast with the horse now. That was just a special occasion. All right.
There it is.
It's like a jam
Galloping Ghost.
That was good. That was good. Maybe we could follow this in my
Ghost.
career.
Guys, my horse head is right there.
I mean, if you put it on though, then it becomes the second Halloween show as opposed to the birthday show.
Yeah, and Halloween's over.
It is. So are our birthdays, as a matter of fact.
We would be remiss. Yes, and a belated birthday. Belated birthdays.
To you as well. How was Halloween? How was Halloween? How trick or treating?
For me,
did you take your daughter out?
Well, she came home. I picked her up after training from school because she was sick. So there was no trick or treating for her.
Oh.
And because I was home with her and waiting for mom to get out of work, and then we got caught up doing other stuff, I didn't get to the store to get Halloween candy. Ooh. So we turned out all the lights and we didn't answer the door. And we definitely had trick-or-treaters, but we just didn't answer the door.
On a typical Halloween, what kind of candy were giving out at the Fish Castle?
Swedish fish. We've been over this, Frank.
Have we really?
Yeah, we talked about it last week.
Swedish fish. But we didn't have time to get the Swedish fish. So there was no candy for the trick-or-treaters here.
Huh.
It's disappointing.
So if you needed a Mount Rushmore of Halloween candy, what would it be?
Ooh. Well, why don't we go kind of around the horn on this one and one at a time? I'm going to go first off with my favorite candy these days. It actually was something that was in the Bucks locker room with AEW. So Sweet Tarts has these like mini fusion candies. And I'm not a candy eater in my adult life, really. And I happened to put one of these in my mouth, and it's like a party. And so I've been, since then, I buy them, and then the excuse I put on it is that after the gym, you need that delivery system of the protein, right? Sugar, or at least that's what they say. So I have Sweet Tart Fruit Fusion. They are this kind of candy. So that would be my first.
Dennis?
Gentlemen?
My first one on the Mount Rushmore of Halloween candy would have to be Snickers.
Right for it, Frank.
You went hard.
Right for it. That's got nuts in it.
Nuts.
Yeah.
It's got nuts.
Nuts.
That is true.
There's nuts in a Snickers.
Nuts. Let's get nutty. Nutty.
Frank, first.
So kind of the same rationale. When I'm done working out, I like to have peanut butter because there's protein in it. So I'm going to go peanut butter cups.
Ooh. Okay. I'm gonna stick with the peanut butter theme, and I'm coming in hot with Fifth Avenue.
Oh,
nice. All right, and I'm breaking it completely. Since I have peanut butter cups on mine too, but Sour Patch Kids.
Wow. I'm going to go Kit Kat.
Nice.
You know, in Japan, at the airport, they had green tea Kit Kats.
I've seen those.
Big seller.
Big in Japan.
I'm gonna go old school. Loved these as a kid. My mom used to get the minis. They would come in a little box, and I would eat the whole box. Charleston Chew.
Ooh.
Nice.
Boom. Boom. An Anfish special.
So for my third pick, I'll go with bottle caps.
Ooh. I don't
Not
know.
I like the root beer ones mostly, but they're all pretty good.
The root beer ones are good.
I'm going Butterfinger.
Hmm.
Big peanut butter fan.
Okay. Well, Reese's would be on mine too, but because it's already been said, I'm not going to go there, and I'm going to go completely outside the box here, and I'm going with Big League Chew.
Wow.
Original.
Oh, jeez.
Original.
For all 37 seconds that it has flavor.
Mm-hmm. It's a good 37 seconds, though.
That is true. Let's see. To round out my Mount Rushmore, peanut M&Ms.
Oh, my wife's favorite.
They are awesome.
Hands down, my wife's favorite, and they are good. I almost feel like that's an honorable mention for me.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll throw in honorable mentions on peanut butter cups and also Kit Kats because they were on there and Frank stole them from me. Son of a bitch.
I'm going to go Baby Ruth with
Nice,
my
baby Ruth.
Baby Rose. That's my sloth.
That was
Nice.
good. That was
Sloth love junk.
That might be a YouTube short.
Yeah, that's gonna have to be. Speaking of which, now that we've hit our stuff, we've done our Mount Rushmore. We are officially like all over the place.
We are. You never know.
Somebody actually asked for the horse on Twitter. We are on
Really?
Twitter, by the way.
Okay.
Undisputed Demi. The handle is at undisputed /
Underscore.
Demi.
Demi, as in Demi Lovato.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
So that's
not Demi Lovato.
No,
Demi Pod.
At undisputed _ Demi, correct?
You betcha.
Mm-hmm.
We're on YouTube. We got our own channel on YouTube.
Somebody said we're taking over the world.
Yeah.
Who said that? Us?
I just said it.
Oh.
That's somebody. I mean, you're somebody, Frank.
You
I
are.
tried.
You're somebody.
But somebody on your Twitter said, "Hey, he did." How did they say it? Ladies and gentlemen, he did the horse. I'm like, wow, that horse gimmick is worldwide. Apparently,
Was it Dalton Castle?
It was not. It was not
RJ City.
It was nobody I recognized. It was a fan, I think.
Okay.
I think I could be mistaken, but I didn't recognize the handle.
Well,
It could have been Jimmy Jack Funk.
Yeah, could have been Billy Ray Cyrus or Jimmy Jack Funk.
Or Steve Bell.
Both in the same gang. All three in the same gang.
Yeah.
That's one hell. That's a formidable gang right there. Steve Bell, Billy Ray Cyrus, and Jimmy Jack Funk.
Speaking of which, Dennis,
how's your tag?
How was your training? Because allegedly, we're going to be at the Survivor Series as a tandem.
Yes.
That's what I heard.
Training is going well, Dennis, would you say?
Yeah, it's going really well. It's going so well that I don't even remember starting it yet.
Yes. Well, Dennis has a drinking problem.
Correct.
Most mornings when I wake Dennis and Frank up, Dennis is still, how do we say this? 3 sheets to the wind?
Maybe.
So he doesn't remember our training.
No.
But he's still getting the training in.
Yeah.
I think
Frank,
we should thank Triple H for the opportunity that he hasn't given us yet to be at the Survivor
Yeah.
Series.
But he is.
It's very noble of him.
But it's on the way. I've been sending him snippets of our training each morning when I wake you guys up with my Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart megaphone. And I paid extra for this on Amazon, but I got a gobbledygooker costume. And I wake you guys up each morning and we get in 7, 8 rounds on the heavy bag. We run 3 miles barefoot, mile and a half backwards, and finish it off with
Buffaloes.
buffalo wings. Yep. Buffalo wings.
Yep. Fair enough.
Just for the protein. And all of this goes on with the Pile Driver album playing.
Oh God!
From my Chevy Silverado.
Pile Driver.
Oh,
God,
yeah.
that's a great video.
Yeah, to the silky sounds of Vince McMahon singing.
Man.
Yeah.
I think we're done.
I think we're off the air.
All right. I actually think Frank's going to win the Royal Rumble this year.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the Survivor Series.
That's what I meant, Survivor Series. Never mind.
You know, have another drink, Dennis.
You know what time it is?
Sing it.
It's the news. We're going to do the news. The news. Oh, the news. So, leading off this week, we're going to talk about the Anderson Silva and the Jake the Snake Roberts fight. No, the Jake.
That would have been I'll pay to see that.
I don't know. I don't know. Jake's tough. Jake would bring out Damien, I think. Damien the Snake. So, no, it was Jake. Jake Paul.
Sure he doesn't have Damien anymore.
Think Damien's dead?
I think he's dead, and I think he was confiscated. I think he died a few times. Jake, had a bit of a checkered track record with old Damien. Yeah.
Terrible.
Sure.
So Jake Paul.
Paul.
He fought Anderson Silva, a.k.a. the Spider.
Mm-hmm.
In a exhibition battle over the weekend, and Jake won 8 rounds of questionable fighting, and Jake won by decision.
Well, I don't know. Go ahead.
You don't know he won by decision, or you don't know if you.
No, I'm saying I don't know how questionable. I saw some clips. Did not see the whole thing in its entirety. Some trusted sources that I go to for my combat sports news and scuttlebutt. Chael Sonnen had quite a few positives to say about the fight. He gives Jake Paul some credit for being there and fighting well, better than most other critics are giving him credit for.
Joe Rogan did the same in his podcast. Joe Rogan said he's surprising. My only issue is I don't know why he can't box a boxer. Why does he keeps on going after the MMA guys or the Nate Robinson guy? Nate Robinson played basketball in the NBA for years. I don't understand why it's always a big MMA guy.
Well, at the end of the day, I mean, Jake Paul's not a boxer.
Right, but he trains for it, and my thing is, if you're going to call out an MMA guy, why don't you get him to the octagon? Why don't you go that route?
I mean, what it comes down to is what are people willing to put their money down to see and what they'll pay for. And I mean, I think if you're going to go that route, like I get what you're saying, MMA, like I would be up for MMA or kickboxing or obviously boxing. I mean, I'm boxing because that was what was offered to me. But I don't know. Everybody's got their reasons for why they're doing whatever they're doing. And he's, correct me if I'm wrong, he's what, 26 years old?
Mm-hmm.
He's grabbing his piece of the pie, I suppose. I don't remember 26. So I'm not sure how. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm not mad at him. I mean, he's doing what he's doing.
I get it. He's
It
making the
is what it
money.
is. I mean, Anderson Silva is a legend in combat sports, in MMA, in Muay Thai prior to MMA. Did he do a good amount of boxing in preparation for all that over the years? Sure as shit he did. Are you taking away much of what makes him great at combat sports by limiting him to just throwing hands? For sure. So, I mean, are you really taking on Anderson Silva? No. And the argument is also being made, I've heard from numerous people, of like, okay, and this is a near 50-year-old Anderson Silva, and Jake Paul is 26, blah, blah, blah. And Father Time is undefeated, and science is what it is. And as you get older, like supposedly you get slower, you get whatever, and we're all experiencing it, but it's going to happen to every one of us. We're all going to we're all young at one point and we all get older. I don't look at this life as like, okay, there's things I enjoyed when I was a younger man and I can't enjoy those now. No, fuck that. Like, I'm going to do what makes me happy until the day I'm dead, until the day I can't do that stuff. So, I'm not going to pull into the pearly gates in a vehicle that is shiny and sparkling and beautiful. Like, my shit's going to be broken down. It's going to be falling apart. It's going to have at least one, maybe 3 flat tires, because I'm getting every ounce out of this shit. And if Anderson Silva at, what is he, 40?
46, 45?
Yeah.
45 or 46. Maybe a little older.
From the clips I saw, he looked pretty damn good. And if he can still go at that age, and he can do it with a guy who's half his age or young enough to be his son or whatever else, like, all the power to him. And if people are willing to pay to see that, how can I be mad at it? It's a chance for him to make money and for Jake or Logan Paul, whatever the fuck his name is.
Jake.
It's Jake Paul.
Yeah, Jake the Snake Paul.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, truly, who cares? And he's gonna wrestle like he's gonna wrestle Roman Reigns, right? Same
No,
guy.
that's his brother.
Oh, his brother. Okay. Well, I saw one of them throwing kicks. I think we talked about it on the last show, and they didn't look bad. They look better than some other people, but they do need, in my opinion, being somebody that's trained martial arts, for a long time, they could use a little bit of work. I don't know. Call me.
Yeah, if Jake's out there, give us a call.
Yeah.
Give him a call.
Yeah, Jake the Snake.
Although
Yeah.
Jake did end the fight, and after the fight, called out Nate Diaz and
heard.
Canelo Alvarez.
Yeah.
Like he said, and I know you said, Jake's technically not a boxer. I think he actually considers himself a boxer and wants to fight Canelo.
And if he does, man, all the power to him. Like, there is nothing admirable about signing up for, a sure thing. Like, if there's no threat to you, like, I don't know. I just go out there and put it on the line. See if you can win. See if you lose. And there is no shame in trying. And there's no shame in, trying and losing. Like, the shame is being the asshole that sits on the sideline and, just comments on Twitter, criticizes people who are out there, trying to do things and being nice to people and being good to people. And then you're going to criticize them because you think their opinion is this about, politics or abortion or what, whatever. Armchair quarterbacks are assholes.
That should be a shirt.
Write that down.
All right, write that down. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
So
all right.
I'm here for it.
All
I'm
right.
here for it. If he, I don't know. I mean, you think Nate Diaz and Jake Paul get it on?
I
Sounds
don't
kind
know.
of backwards to me.
I don't
to be
know if Jake
honest.
wants a part of Diaz. Diaz is a bad dude.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, but
I would think that Anderson Silva.
Anderson's a bad dude too, but Anderson's also the Diaz boys just scare me.
But the
they came
Diaz
to
boys
have-
are smaller than Silva. Silva's a bigger man than the Diaz boys.
That's true.
yeah, I mean, if they were going to do it anyway, I think Diaz would have to put on some pounds because I think Jake fights at like 186.
Well, here's an interesting caveat to this whole Jake Paul thing, though. He said if he lost, he would have fought MMA or
Yes. Yep.
and
If Silva won, then they would have fought MMA. If Jake won, then Silva has to partner with him, I believe, or become part of the better company that Jake Paul started, which is BETR, which
see
is
when you Go ahead.
better. It's better healthcare, and I think just it's better care for fighters.
Okay.
But once you start putting stipulations in, it kind of turns into professional wrestling. Yes, no?
It's all the same shit, man.
Well, it goes back to the
all comes from
conversation.
the same shit.
It calls back to the conversation you guys had with Tom, the filthy
Yeah.
one, a couple weeks ago. That's where I was trying to get full circle on that one. That's where I was trying to go with that.
Yeah, I mean, pro wrestling came from where it came from, and it has its roots, and like you can trace the history and the lineage back, and there was a time that that was as legitimate as the UFC and the MMA and the whatever else you want to call it. And money gets thrown in and thrown around, and things change, and it just is what it is. So I am entertained by the people who are still under the impression that those things are so entirely separate. And maybe it's from being in Japan as much as I was, but like you just see that line is just a very, very blurry one, and it will always be. And you always got to be a little suspect. It just is what it is.
Absolutely.
But and at the end of the day, all the shit is entertainment anyway. It's supposed to be fun. It's in our DNA to compete and whatnot. Why? Because it's in our DNA to like kill. So we got to do something with this energy. You got to do something with testosterone and all the other so make a game out of it and don't take the shit so serious.
Speaking of Japan, the Great Muta has a match coming up. What are you posted on Twitter, I think, last week?
Yeah,
that's a pretty good match. That's the Forbidden Door.
Sure is.
That should have been someplace. That's going to be someplace. That's going to be huge.
Well, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Yeah, okay. Me first?
Lead it off.
I mean, so first off, I'm a huge Muta fan. And I've said that, he was one of the guys that just captivated me as a kid. But then even getting older and then getting into, I've done the moonsault for years, and it's to me, it's an ode to Muta. He was the first guy that I saw doing the moonsault, and everything about him was awesome. The whole gimmick and then the way that he changed over the years and revolutionized himself and evolved. I just, an incredible performer. And so for him to be retiring, and I think it's time, he's done it. He's had a ridiculous career. If he had half of that career, it would have been fulfilling, but to be who he's been is amazing, and he's doing it for Noah, which for me is really cool to see because there's still people that work there. A lot of the boys and whatnot that were guys that I got to work with coming up, and it really cut my teeth. That's the first major company I worked for. I learned how to do pro wrestling. A lot of it was there. I got my ass handed to me for years in Noah, but I wouldn't trade those years for anything. And so then to see, like, to add to that, you get a guy like Nakamura as his opponent. And Nakamura, again, just a trailblazer in Japanese wrestling, a one of one for sure. And it's a huge thing for Japanese wrestlers to have the success that he's had in the States. And with WWE, I don't know, I can't really put into words the level that's on to the Japanese fans. So for Nakamura to be the staple that he is here, and then for Triple H or whomever is responsible for allowing Nakamura that, chance to step into the forbidden door or whatever you want to call it, and to do that, to honor Muda, it's just awesome. The whole thing. I mean, that's why I retweeted it. That's why when I saw it, I was like, this is awesome.
I'm wondering if they're going to set something up where he comes back to the States and you see him at WrestleMania.
I'd be there for it. I mean, I'd be all about it.
I mean, if we're going to fantasy book, induct him in the Hall of Fame, have him have a match the next night or one of the 5 nights they had WrestleMania, one of the 2 nights, and just have him go out that way. That would be the ultimate FU to the other company because they kind of tried this a couple weeks ago and it was okay. But when you put him on WrestleMania, something he's never been in WWE before, at least to my knowledge, he hasn't been. You have
not that I'm aware of, and that's a huge feather in the cap of having spent time over there and knowing the way the fans see the WWE product and just the kind of shine that puts on somebody's career. And I mean, he obviously deserves whatever shine you can put upon it that hasn't already been put on there. And for it to be, with Nakamura, I can't say enough. It's, I think whatever they do it's pretty cool.
I'll call Triple H when we're done with the Survivor Series and see if we can get that together.
Yeah, get him on the bat phone. Frank has a direct line to Triple H.
Wow.
Never calls me back though.
Yeah.
Whatever. Busy guy, I guess.
Well,
might be the wrong number.
It wouldn't be the first time. Probably not the last.
Yeah.
So let's switch gears a little bit. We'll talk some indie wrestling. We haven't talked about this, but I know it's. I think you shared it with YouTube with us. Was the match you had out in Fort Wayne, Indiana?
Where? Fort Wayne. Is Fort Wayne, Indiana a place, Frank?
It was where you were wrestling.
Crown Point?
Crown Point, whatever it was.
Fort Wayne. You definitely made that up. You definitely made that up.
No, there's a Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Fort Wayne. Fort Worth.
Fort Wayne.
Like John Wayne.
Like John Wayne. Anyways, you were
wherever you were in Indiana, it was flat. I can tell you that.
Bruce Wayne.
You were on a card,
Wayne, Indiana,
that had 35 matches on it apparently, and you were like one of the last ones. Take it from there.
I've been on many a card with 35 matches on it because there's many an indie promoter who fancies themselves, WrestleMania booker. I don't know. I think there's a little bit of old school mentality, but like somebody's got it. The inmates can't run the asylum, and anybody that can pay whatever the fee is or whatever to have a license and book a show. And I feel like it gets a little out of control sometimes. And then, like, the way a card is set up is, there's certain things that are reserved for the main event. There's certain things that are reserved, to not be done before, to not be done in the first 2 to 3 matches or whatever. Different things. There's different, and it's traditional in that way. And there's a reason why it was done that way for all those years. And, rules are definitely made to be broken, but then you see what happens when that goes unchecked. And I think that you see that lots of places, some places on TV, some not on TV. We see this. And some of these like marathon indie shows, and, people love to book tournaments, and then guys, you're going to have a long card because they're tournament matches. Well, if every card on, you got 10 matches, people need to stick to their times. That's the way. If not, this show that was supposed to go 7 to 10 is going to go 7 to 7 a.m. And that's what happens a lot of times. And you got guys that they don't respect the booker, they don't respect the promoter, they don't respect the guy that's paying them, and for good reason. Sometimes these guys are bumblefuck idiots. I don't have the answer for how you fix it, but it is what it is. And you get on these shows and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and and you've been there for 7 hours, and now you got to go out and wrestle. And the fans, the same thing, they get in their seat at 6 p.m. If it's midnight, you don't want to be there anymore. I don't want to do anything for 6 hours. So it was one of those, and we weren't even the last match. We were,
Lord,
right? We were out of maybe 14, we were 9.
So to put it in perspective, you texted us. Yeah. I want to say 11 o'clock at night, and kind of told us what just happened. Yeah. And you weren't the last match, so you're accurate when you say that card didn't end up probably 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. And it just was what it was, and it's been a while since I've been back on independence and stuff like that. So to get reacquainted with that, I was working Kevin Blackwood, good indie talent. I wasn't terribly familiar with him, but became more familiar with him and have since then. And he's really good. And we went out, and, we were 2 guys that have been doing this long enough that, we were putting in some effort and giving people a good match. And they were just spent. And in their defense, I don't blame them for being spent. So part of it's on the people doing the show. Part of it's on them. Part of it's, possibly on us for not being entertaining enough. I don't know, but I know we're out there and we're working hard. And I felt like, okay, well, if you guys don't want to be here, nobody's making you stay. You can go home or participate, be into the match or don't. And when they didn't give me the response I wanted, I decided that, they shouldn't have pizza. I was going to take their pizza. I was going to take their pizza away. So I did. I took it out in the parking lot, and I dumped it in the parking lot.
So what was the reaction when you're taking these pizzas and throw them in the parking lot?
The people weren't happy with me. And I don't know if it was the symbolic treatment of the pizza. Like I'm vegan. We've talked about this on the show. So I was saving them from, just a gassy evening of dairy farts. And I was trying to do them a favor.
Oh God.
Yeah.
You're a man of the people. You're a man of the people.
I am. I was saving them from themselves.
So on your way back to I would call it the locker room, a heavy-set gentleman and you exchanged some pleasantries.
Yes.
What was that? Because you clearly got aggravated with the said gentleman and just walked away. Was it
I don't remember exactly what he was saying, but it was just like, it was just yelling and it was nonsensical. And it really was just kind of like, okay, dude, at the end of the day, like you paid to come watch me. And maybe you paid to watch some of these other guys or girls. Like, I don't know what you paid for, but I don't know what you paid for in particular, but I'm a performer on the show. And so we can have words and I'm happy to play along and let's play along. But really, like, I mean, at the end of the day, come on, dude,
whatever it was, you just threw your hands up in the air and walked away. That was funny. Because he was still talking. He was still talking.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was something about height. And so immediately I was like,
Jesus.
You look how wide you like, come on, sir. Let's not make this about physical because, I mean, you're legit like 350. He
looked like Earthquake. John Tenta. Wherever.
And he took it there. I didn't take it there.
That's true.
So it's like, come on, dude. Like, I can't do anything about my height. It's not under my control. You can't hold it against me.
But Tony Tubbs, he could take care of his weight.
Yeah.
Hit a treadmill, hit a stair clipper.
It's what it is. But you pay a ticket, you get to have an opinion.
And no
I'm
pizza.
Okay with that. But you don't get pizza. Not if you're going to sit on your hands. Not if you're not going to cheer.
If you get a chance, you gotta YouTube that video because it's worth that. I would have paid money to see that interaction. Just you and the fans, you and the pizza toss in the parking lot. I mean, I'm sure you had a great match with Kevin Blackwood, but the pizza thrower and everything else that went along with it was top 10 stuff.
I try to see it as, any night that I go out there and wrestle might be my last. And so it could be from an injury. It could be just because I don't feel like doing it anymore. It could be because nobody wants to hire me. It could be for any reason. So, I mean, leave people, they pay their money, leave them with an impression. And that's, you can make them happy. You can make them sad. You can make them angry. I tend to making people angry, I think, is my gift.
But that's wrestling 101, though.
Yeah.
You're
maybe
getting an emotion out of somebody.
Yeah.
And when you get booked, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get entertainment. You're going to get a good time.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you something.
Yeah, whether you like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Onward and forward we go. There was
sir.
a Twitter exchange between your good friend, my cousin, Dave Meltzer, and former WCW.
That's your cousin, Frank?
He is my cousin.
It is now.
It is now. Mr. Eric Bischoff.
Okay.
Eric, if you haven't listened to his show, because he's honest with himself, he's honest with the stuff he did WCW, but he's not afraid to hold back with the current product.
Okay.
And he made a mention about AEW, particularly, has a tendency of just booking matches for the sake of booking matches.
Okay.
And I don't know, you never seen Vince McMahon do this, but I guess, right, it's a fact. Tony Khan goes on Busted Open, I think, every Thursday and has a spot on the show.
Yeah.
Which, again, you never saw Vince McMahon. Even you didn't see Bischoff do it either back in the day, but Tony does what he does. And he took exception with Bischoff's comments, and they kind of had a back and forth via Twitter and such. And Tony said, well, that's what Eric did back in the day. I kind of see what Eric's talking about because it seems like sometimes they just throw matches together and you kind of scratch your head. But Eric did bring up the point. He's got a larger, meaning Tony had a larger roster than Eric did, so he probably has to do that just to appease the masses in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
Does that hurt storytelling?
I will say that it does seem like there's too many toys in the toy box. I will also say that, like, in that equation, the three people we talked about, Vince McMahon, Tony Khan, Eric Bischoff, there's only one of them that it's in his blood. He came up in wrestling. You know, Vince McMahon Sr., like he grew up in this business. Vince books in a way that can't really be compared to the other two because they don't have that to lean on. And I think that there's always been a reason why fans, and it's, you know, that we're nothing without the fans. Like I am so grateful for the fans, but there's a reason why fans don't book shows. Fans don't have the checks and balances per se to know what's best for the show as opposed to, well, what they like. And, you know, flavors are flavors, and you have to have that governor on the flavors in order to make the right decisions. And not the decisions aren't always right, but I think what you're seeing and what you saw, and I would imagine Bischoff being as forthcoming as he is, would probably say that at times he felt like he was in over his head with certain things. But, you know, there's a reason why fans don't book pro wrestling shows. And when fans book the show, it's not, it may go well 1 week, 2 weeks, a month, I don't know, but it's going to go off the rails at some point, and then it's going to get back on and then go off and then on and on. It's just inconsistency. And that's just what it is what it is.
Do you think fans and bookers and all that, they're too caught up in the 5-star matches? And that loses storytelling?
What is a 5-star match?
Well, Dave Meltzer, the Dave Meltzer.
What makes it a 5-star match? I mean, you know, there's different styles of, there's all different flavors. And I've been involved in some really well-received matches, and I've been involved in some matches that weren't well-received. And it's like a tomato, like, I don't know. It depends on what you're into. And then that's what's beautiful about pro wrestling is that you can have a performer like Dusty Rhodes, and then you can have the fucking Ultimate Warrior. You know, so those are two distinctly different performers and different matches that are going to come out of the two of them. But I mean, that's what's great about pro wrestling is you get different flavors, and why you can have, you know, what should be a 2.5, 3-hour show, not 5 to 12 hours, but yeah.
And pizza.
Yeah, you can't have pizza.
You can't pizza.
Not always.
I can see both their points. Bischoff did the same. Bischoff had a deep roster. He had ECW guys. He had old WWE guys. So I can see both their points. But currently, it seems like sometimes they just throw matches together for the sake of just, hey, let's put these two guys together tonight and see what happens, with no rhyme or reason.
I honestly think that, like, you know, if you're booking, you just need to, you know, just block out the noise, have a vision, and then follow through with your vision, because you're not going to make everybody happy. And if you're trying to make everyone happy, you're going to make no one happy. So make yourself happy, as far as like what your vision is, and try to stick to that, and let that be your guide. Because if you start listening to others, you're what's that, honey? Are you going to bed? Good night. If you're if you're listening to everyone else, like, where does that end?
It's true. Lastly, well, not second lastly, the Bray Wyatt character. Have you caught any of this stuff? No, you haven't.
No, not really. I know he's come back.
He
He
came
back at
back.
the pay-per-view, right? And it was kind of like different versions or different aspects of his.
He came back as a different version of himself, but it's amazing how they did this.
Is he a woman?
Close.
I mean,
he's
it's
a
2022.
He's a face. He came back as I think he's a face. He's not a heel.
Okay. And that's how they're presenting him?
He got a standing ovation when he came back. Every time he comes out, he gets a standing ovation. And now they have somebody, I think he's feuded with Uncle Howdy. I don't know who Uncle Howdy is. They've speculated that it's his brother Bo. I could be Uncle.
There's a couple of stories floating around of who Uncle Howdy is,
and
Bo is one of the names that's been thrown around.
But what you said right there is that is a flag of success. Like, if there's a couple different things circulating, then that means it's topical and people are interested. And at the end of the day, like, if pro wrestling is bullshit, like, well, then how do you keep people interested in this thing that they know isn't, but yet WWE is still a multi-billion dollar, whatever. And WrestleMania is this huge thing that known throughout the world. So it's a guilty pleasure that people indulge in. So there's a way to do it right. And that to me is one of the signs of you're doing something right.
With that character alone, and we'll get to the next topic, but that is hitting on all cylinders, because it makes you get. I heard somebody say it was Barry Windham was Uncle Howdy. I'm like, Barry Windham? I mean, I know it's his father. I think it's his father, but I'm like, it's a good guess. But just the guessing, and you don't know what he's talking about and all this other stuff. But it's whoever wrote it or whoever's producing it is nailing it.
Mm-hmm.
So
speaking of,
but the story is it's either somebody else, or it's going to be like his darkest inner demon, kind of like when he was the Fiend for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And Uncle Howdy is like his darkest inner demon that he's been fighting. That's what I just looked up real quick just to see what kind of speculations were, and it's either somebody else or it's going to end up being Bray as another character.
Or it could be me. I did hear that too.
Well, I was going to just say that, like, I'm the one writing it.
Oh,
I thought you were Uncle Howdy. Can we call you Uncle Howdy?
Yeah. In the same way, guys, in the same way that I was, we talked about this long ago. Like, I was the one that convinced Hogan to turn heel.
True. That's true. That's true.
I convinced Bray to come back.
You talked us into a Survivor Series match, however the fuck that happened.
Right.
I can't wait. I am pumped up. Pumped up. Right. Look out.
Look out.
Yeah.
Speaking of nailing things.
Uh-oh.
It's a good segue into factions this week. We're going to talk about some factions, but I was thinking about this faction. The Bloodline, they are like the modern day, I guess you call them the Horsemen? Maybe, with Roman being the champion as long as he has.
Mm-hmm.
Who would you have beat Roman? I mean, now he should be champion. He's got Paul Heyman as the manager. You got Sami Zayn is an unbelievable character. He's nailing it. The Uso brothers. I mean, unless Cody comes back, maybe he beats Roman. I mean, is there a hotter faction right now than those guys?
I'm a little behind on the product, but I will say that, like, everything I am privy to and have seen and heard. And then the little bit, like I keep seeing some of the Sammy, stuff. Sammy's work it just defies sense. He's so good. And it didn't start at Mania, but I think that was when people really started to recognize, like, wow, like he's doing more with less than anybody. And he is. I mean, he's just, whatever crumbs have come his way, he has turned it into an entire meal. And, now that the company sees that in him and has that trust of whomever the powers that be, like, I mean, he's beyond awesome right now. He's maybe the hottest commodity to me, he's the most unique persona, character, whatever, and capable of the most range on the whole roster. He's got a damn good beard.
Great beard. Nails the beard.
Yeah.
But what makes a good faction? You being a veteran of faction, one of the best of all time, how does the dynamic work?
I don't know that there's a recipe for it. I don't know there's an exact recipe. I think you know it when you see it, when it hits. Like, you just kind of know. One of the things, I'll borrow some rationale from Paul Heyman when he talked to us, was part of what was that, like, you have the faction itself, and it is this thing, but then each individual part has its own, like, it's living and breathing, and those differences between each person in the group is what makes it kind of special and unique. And you give people a little bit of that individuality without it overpowering the sum. And that the sum, at the end of the day, the sum is always the priority. And I think that was something that we were able to do, and you celebrate the differences amongst the members, but at the same time, it's like it comes back to that one thing. And that one thing was always, like with the Horsemen, like it was always kind of keeping the title on Rick, right? Like, and there were different avenues that it would go, but like the whole was always to kind of keep that title on Rick. And it was great to, for the other guys to have stuff too. But if something needed to be sacrificed, like, somebody else was laying down that sacrifice. And dare I say, it was similar with us, like if a sacrifice needed to be made, you knew that was going to be me or Roddy or Kyle. Like, Adam probably wasn't going to be the sacrifice. It wasn't going to happen. But it works, and it's unspoken, and it can't be spoken. You can't talk about it. If you talk about it, like, it just, I don't know, it gets overproduced. Don't overproduce it. And they didn't have to overproduce with us, because we were literally 4 best buddies. Like, 4, it was legit, and in the hierarchy of our friendship, like, Adam's not the ringleader, but, we're all just, and if that's how they were going to position it on screen, like, cool. We don't, I mean, fuck, I got to go to work every day and make way more money than I should to hang out with my buddies.
Who is the ringleader?
The ring doorbell leader?
Yeah.
Where, in real life?
Yeah, you kind of alluded to Adam not being the ringleader in the group.
Yeah, nobody is. Nobody is. I mean, we're just
okay.
4 fucking idiots. We're 4 idiots, Literally 4 idiots. four idiots. You know, Kyle and I love puns, and you know, Roddy works out too much, and Cole has great hair. Like, I don't know. Just,
Cole is a video game monster. He has
yeah,
got
he is.
I think I seen on Twitter. Twitter. He posted his entertainment system, and I
Yeah,
think he has every gaming system known to man.
yeah. He was having stuff like fans and other whatever would send him, you know, like game systems and setups and microphones, and I think they sent him a cheerleader or two, like an actual human being.
I heard that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Could you have put any other member in that group and make it succeed?
Any other person in our group?
Yeah, like take two or three guys out. Would it have still worked with a different group of guys?
Well, if I take two or three guys out, it depends on the year you're talking about. It's just me by myself.
Correct. But
Yeah.
if we're putting other guys in the group,
Mm-hmm.
is it still going to work? Is it still a faction? Is it still a cohesive unit?
Steve Bell.
You could put Steve Bell in there.
Sure.
I'm
why
not
not?
sure.
I could
He'd be
put
the
Steve
enforcer.
Bell in there.
You put Matt Negrini in there.
No, I mean, I don't think so. I think it worked because there was chemistry there, and it wasn't like a pre-planned thing. It just kind of happened. And I mean, at different points in our careers, you could have probably tried doing the same thing and it maybe wouldn't have worked, but we were all in the places we needed to be. And coming into a new scenario with NXT and with Triple H and WWE, and we were four guys that, you know, for a number of different reasons weren't ever supposed to be there, but here we are. And you know, we had a guy in Triple H that had a vision, and it, you know, we fit into. I don't question stuff like that, you know. It all aligns for a reason, you know, and then it goes away for a reason. And who knows? I mean, maybe it'll come back someday, or maybe it never will. I don't know.
I think this is the new incarnation. I think because we're going to be at Survivor Series, we need a fourth. We need a fourth member. If anybody's out there who wants to be the fourth member,
Well, truth be told, it was just three of us until the ACL monster jumped up and bit me.
insert Roderick Strong.
Yes, that's when they added the engine.
So are you alluding?
Engine of the Undisputed Era.
Are you alluding that Roddy will be our fourth member at the Survivor Series? No, you're not.
You never know.
Oh well.
Never
Okay.
know.
And can we get JJ Dillon to manage us?
Or Jake Paul.
Or Jake Roberts? Or Jake Daly?
Or Jake
Really?
Daly?
Or Jake Daly. Wow.
Yes.
I thought we were just naming Jakes.
Are we? Yeah. I mean, can we continue to name people we went to high school with on this
Jake
podcast?
Forrest.
Jake Forrest.
Because
For the win.
it's a very select few of
You have a lot of Jakes.
CCHS alumni who know any of these references.
No,
We're gonna end
I
up,
think only 10 listen to the show.
yeah,
That's they're lost on mine.
yeah, that's true. Should all know.
So how is training going? How do you feel? Next week's the big event.
I feel awesome. It's been really cool. This was one of the things that I find most cool about training, especially now because we're into that last week, and the progress and the incremental has been. And especially when I got sick for a little while there, and it, you know, for a couple of days, like I did coming back, like training that week, I feel like I had taken steps back. And then by the end of the week, I was, you know, progressed again. And So even now, like the incremental, that's what's so satisfying about doing this whole thing is, going from 4 rounds of mitts to at this point, we're doing 8 rounds of mitts. And today we do these bike sprints, these airdyne, and it is death on a airdyne. It's brutal. But I've gotten to a point where like they're not brutal anymore. Like I'm not gonna say I enjoy them. I don't think there's there's nothing enjoyable about it. But today I was supposed to do 5 and I lost count. And I couldn't remember if I had done 5. So instead of like saying, okay, I'm good, I'm done, I went back and I did an extra, or maybe I did 5. I don't know. It was either 4 and then I did 5, or it was 5 and I did 6. But the fact that like I could do 6 and still like, it's amazing to me, my recovery at this point. I can get my heart rate, not even I can get, like it just comes back down on its own so much faster than it once did. And to experience that is it's pretty cool. Like I know I'm improving somewhere. And that's cool. I just think as a human being, progress is it's like essential to happy living.
What's the diet like?
I really, I used to be meticulous, and I'm not so much anymore because I don't want to, for numerous reasons. One of which, I want to enjoy life, and eat dinner with my wife, and just be happy. And I used to track, food like a maniac.
Like that?
Yeah. I used to track it, and I still have my Fitness Pal and stuff, but I have an idea of what I eat, and it's generally somewhere in the 2,500 calorie range. And I know, like at this point, based on my my Whoop band, most days that I'm training, I'm burning anywhere from 3,000 to some days over 4,000 calories. So if I'm eating in that 2,500 range, even if I have a heavy day where I eat 28 or like 3,000, like I'm still at a deficit. So I've got a 10-pound weight cut, which, we'll do the week of. And I don't think it's going to be a problem. And I feel awesome. I've probably had times in my life where I was leaner and felt like, and like was, I look ripped but at this point, I just feel great. I've had people say to me like, oh man, you look real lean. And I don't know if I do look all that lean, but I don't really care. I feel like I feel great most days. And today, like I wasn't feeling good in the morning. I don't think I slept well. And I was like, shit, this training's going to suck. And then we always start training with jumping rope. And the first 3 rounds of jumping rope, like I just couldn't get my rhythm the first round. I'm like, oh shit, it's going to be a long day. By round 2, like I don't think I missed a skip on the rope. And then like from then on, it was just clear sailing right through. Like, so even the days that I don't feel great still turn out to be good days. So that's promising. And I'm going to kick this guy's ass.
So I've heard.
Yeah. I might come back home and, I just might be in that mode. I might kick both of your asses.
Well, a week after, I think, maybe 2 weeks after, we've got Survivor Series. So you got to.
I'm going to probably kick somebody's ass there, too.
It's amazing. Out of last week's show, everything that was said, that popped up on somebody's
it's
feed.
Crazy.
You said that, I'm like for one, he didn't even say. I said, I watched it back. I'm like, we said it.
It was a joke.
At some point, someone's gonna. Maybe they won't ever realize that like 80% of the shit that we say is tongue in cheek.
Dude, I rarely am I serious. Like rarely. And they'll take But hey, it's the
But still-
pro wrestling news cycle, right?
And nobody's gone and printed anything about giving you any kind of credit for helping Hogan make that decision to go
That's
heel.
amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest things that ever happened in wrestling, and yet it goes. It's not noteworthy.
Nope.
Whatever.
But me and Frank being at Survivor Series, let me tell you,
That's the big news. That's big news.
But yet it's all over the place when I go to Adam and Kyle and try to get them out of their contracts.
yeah,
The
irony.
Meltzer.
This is supposed to be the birthday show, and we haven't talked about our birthdays at all.
Oh no, you stop celebrating them at this age.
Well, what did you? Dennis got a pretty cool gift from his significant other. What did you get, Dennis?
Yeah, she got me an autographed script from the final production of Deadpool. So it's autographed by Ryan Reynolds, Stan Lee, T.J. Miller, the hot chick that was in Deadpool. I don't remember her name. Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Nice.
So now I don't know what to do with it. It's just in a drawer. I'm like, I'm not touching it. I'm just gonna sit there. So, but that was a pretty awesome gift. Probably one of the better ones I've ever gotten.
Are you guys memorabilia fanatics or no? Like you have pieces of memorabilia in your house and
No, not at all. I'm not. None of us are really collectors. I have some autographs, some older Yankee autographs like Mattingly, Ricky Henderson, Phil Necro, Dave Winfield, but not really a memorabilia collector on anything.
I don't throw away Kleenex.
Oh,
I keep it. I don't know if that counts as memorabilia.
It's definitely a collection of some sort.
that's a collection.
I have things I blew my nose in 80, 88.
We should probably put that on eBay, see if we get any hits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that weird, guys? Is that weird?
No.
Weird? No. Disgusting? Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe a little weird. Maybe just a smidge.
Well, he said memorabilia.
Hey man, whatever you hold near and dear to your heart, you keep
That's
it.
all that matters. All right.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, baby. Yes, I've never been much of a collector, Frank. Are you a collector?
I do have a pair of Roddy Piper box gloves autographed, but most of the stuff I have is personalized to either my kids or myself as a joke, so they have no value to anybody else. So
it's okay.
Like
anything really
picture,
cool, bro?
there's a picture of my daughter and me and Kurt Angle, but it's personalized to us.
That's beautiful.
It doesn't. Again, if somebody wanted it, it has no value but other than the people in this house.
That's
like
okay.
somebody got me a Luke Gallows picture, and I don't know if they knew you and I, Bobby and I, know each other, but on the thing it says I'm better than Bobby Fish on it, and they gave it to him. Like, how did they know this? It's funny. It's downstairs in the man cave.
Gallows is
I don't know how
he's a resourceful guy.
What I do have,
he's carny as the day is long. He's such a carny. He is such a carny.
Maybe it'll be those three versus us three.
He would sell you his ball back.
He probably would.
Yeah, he's so carny.
I do have some Eddie Van Halen guitar picks downstairs, though.
Oh,
those are pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
But that's about it.
Fair enough.
Okay.
That's all I got. Take us home.
Is that it, Frank?
That's all we got. That we're
right. Let's throw out some more plugs, like the socials and the YouTubes.
Yeah, so we do have, and it was bootlegged recently, but my Pro Wrestling Tees store, the Undisputed podcast with Bobby Fish shirt is there for your enjoyment, please.
So tell the story. We got to tell that story, though, because I was looking up the podcast to see it was on YouTube, and I Googled it, and went to the bottom of the screen, and I'm like, wait a second. I didn't know we had hoodies out and long sleeve sweatshirts. I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are they cheaper on this? I'm like, wait a second. I don't know the site.
Yeah.
So,
So if you bought one from there, shame on you. Do your research. That money will not be going to fund this podcast or anything else that has to do with me. Other than that, November 13th, the big fight in Dubai. I'll be heading over there Monday. So, actually, boys, I don't know. Will we be doing an episode of the podcast from Dubai?
I think that's up to you.
To be determined.
Okay, to be determined. We will
TBD, and we may have a new episode next week, or we might take a week off.
We'll figure something out.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
So the Twitter is at undisputed_Demi. Correct, Frank?
Correct.
Okay.
And the YouTube is the Undisputed Podcast with /with Bobby Fish. Hit the subscribe button on that. Set your notifications. Do all the good stuff to help us out because you like us, or maybe you don't like us. Who gives a shit? Just do it anyway. You can find
if you don't like us, and if you don't like us, I like that.
Yeah,
I like not being liked. Advertise with us. Support the podcast. Go to Twitter at undisputed_Demi. All of our good stuff will be there. Same thing with the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Frank, what do you got?
Support the podcast, and it's good to be here.
Happy to be here.
Yeah,
Happy birthday.
I got nothing. Bobby, any final words?
Nope.
All right. Say goodnight, Bobby.
Good night, Bobby.